Oh, good morning, Thunder.
How are you, Ryan?
I'm great, thank you. Hey, I've got a question for you. Where are we and what are we doing here?
We are in New South Wales on the southern tablelands, and today we're going to meet Dimity Taylor. She is a physio and a farmer. Her neighbour is not Mrs Mangles.
Oh my gosh.
Her neighbour is a set of wind turbines that is powering the area with clean renewable energy, but also providing a lot of community funds, doing a lot of good in this area. So in this area, the wind turbine is a very good neighbour. Where's my tea?
So
Ryan, do you need to do a shake?
no. Who knows what's going to come out, for sure. Who are you? Where are we? What are we doing here and why are we doing it?
My name's Dimity Taylor. I'm a physiotherapist and a sheep farmer. And I live near Crookwell in New South Wales, and you're here on my sheep farm, which is right next door to a wind farm.
All right, so it's time for some quick fire questions, Dimity. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, great. Wind turbine. What's going on? Wind turbines on farms, are they good for the local economy or not?
Done well, they are great.
Transitioning our energy system to renewables immediately or taking ages?
Oh, let's do it quick.
Renewables or fossil fuels?
Oh, renewables.
Nuclear or renewables?
Renewables.
Using cheaper, safer renewables or delaying longer with polluting fossil fuels and expensive, dangerous nuclear later on?
Renewables, right now.
Wind turbines on farms, are they good for the local community or not?
If they're done well, they're great.
So tell us about the giant, quiet neighbour that is just ticking away and how it helps the community thrive.
I love living next door to the wind farm. It's brought heaps of great stuff into the community. The wind farm has brought back our local hall, which has really helped bring the community together. They fund all sorts of things like the local pony club, the local creek being restored, the footy clubs in town. So many things around the town and around the community that have really helped just reinvigorate the community.
Are you saying that the wind farm gives the community money?
Yeah, so they have a community benefit fund, and that people can apply for grants and they distribute a whole bunch of money to organisations in the community every year. Not only that, but they have a clean energy fund, which funds things like solar panels on people's roofs, or solar hot water, or insulation, or double glazing, anything that can make people's homes more energy efficient. They've also planted a heap of trees around the community, which has been great.
Are you paid to host wind farms, or are you paid for this interview? Or
Not paid to host a turbine, not paid for this interview. We don't actually host a turbine, but we do have an underground cable along the back fence that gives us a little bit of money, but not very much.
Is it going to benefit your kids?
Yeah, taking action on climate change, I think that's going to benefit the kids. Having thriving rural communities, that's going to benefit the kids, absolutely.
You're actually not a host, so you don't benefit particularly from a monetary point of view, but the largest benefit for you is for your family and your community.
Yeah, that's right.
You bought into this farm knowing that there were turbines nearby, right?
Yeah, we definitely knew that the turbine was going to be 1.2 kilometres from the house, but we'd previously been living in a house that was 1.7 k's from the house and knew it was absolutely fine, so had no qualms in buying here knowing it was right next door.
And obviously you brought your family with you.
Yeah, 3 little kids. I love that we get to live right next door to this great infrastructure, and they get to, and us, get to feel like we're kind of part of this exciting transition, and we can see action on climate change right here next door.
Do you mind looking at the wind turbines?
No, they're so beautiful. Like, they're really majestic. On a sunset, they are just magnificent. Like, they reflect the colours of the sun on a beautiful sunset. They're just so gorgeous. You know when you're in a landscape and you might see a beautiful road winding down a mountain, and it can be like the infrastructure actually enhances the landscape? I feel like the turbines are the same. They bring a little bit of something extra to the landscape.
Tell us about the noise.
Oh, the noise is fine. We barely hear it anyway. It has to be perfect conditions. But even when we do, it kind of sounds like the ocean.
Do the sheep mind?
The sheep don't mind. The horse doesn't mind. The dogs don't mind. They're quite peaceful underneath them.
Very Tai Chi of you. Or of them, should I say. So there are people and communities that are going to have renewables coming to their communities really soon. What do you have to say to them?
Oh, welcome it. But get involved. Communicate with the companies that are coming and really think about how you can maximise the benefits for your community. Every community is different and what each community needs is different. Think about how can they be good community partners? What can they bring that's really going to help your community to flourish? Another thing that I think is really important is negotiating neighbour agreements. So rather than just the hosts getting money, that the neighbours also get an annual payment for living next door. It's not just about money. It really empowers people. If you've had to negotiate a contract, you've been empowered through that process. And it puts you, to quote Hamilton, in the room where it happens, room where it happens. The way the communication happens at the very beginning of a wind farm planning is so crucial to how a community responds to the wind farm. Around here, it wasn't done so well. In other places, people are worried about all sorts of things, health effects, effects on land values, all sorts of things that, fair enough, make people really concerned. If you're worried that your farm's not going to be worth anything, I'd be pretty worried about it too. There's been quite a few properties that have been sold around the place that are well within 2Ks of the turbines, and they are selling for exactly the same price rises as everything else around the district. There was a lot of fear about what it might be like, what was going to happen, how it was going to impact the community. And then during construction, I feel like things were a bit heightened. There was a lot of activity, a lot of trucks and things around. Genuinely some frustrating elements. But after it was constructed, I feel like everybody was able to take a breath and realise that they're just there. Everyone seems a lot more comfortable with them actually being there than they thought they might be. They're just part of the landscape, part of the community. Subsequently, it is getting a lot better. If that communication is done well right from the beginning, you don't get that level of opposition. You actually get community buy-in.
I mean, it's good for your local community, but is it good for the wider community as a whole?
During construction phase, there was so much activity in town. The cafes were full, the hotels were full. The boost that the community has got from that, I feel like it's been sustained. Like Crookwell as a whole has just had a little bit of a boost. There's snazzier shops, the cafes are doing well, there's new things opening up. It's wonderful.
So you're a physio and health is your business. Are you concerned at all about your health and your family's health living so close to the turbines?
Living close to the turbines? No. In actual fact, it probably helps my mental health. Being able to see that we are doing something to transition to a renewable energy economy and away from a fossil fuel economy. What I am worried about is the health impacts of climate change. That is stressful. That is going to impact our physical health, our mental health. So it's wonderful being able to be part of a community that is part of the change.
Is it cheaper than coal and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it has been shown to be the cheapest form of new energy that you can roll out.
In terms of climate change, what do you think some of the greatest threats are?
Well, we really do feel the impacts of climate change here. We've had to change our lambing to fit in with the changes in extreme weather events. We've been through droughts, we've been through floods. It's really tough. The smoke from all those bushfires was terrifying and horrible.
So obviously when those climate change disasters happen to a local community, the community needs some cash to recover from it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And those communities need that money in that time. But wouldn't you prefer your taxpayer dollars to go into things like health and education and roads and things that lift our whole society rather than having to spend it on communities catching up from a climate change disaster?
Hey, are you saying that my taxes are paying for catching up for the climate change disasters? Is that what's happening?
Absolutely.
So instead of spending money on that, I can spend more money on some wind turbines to help eradicate the problem in the first place.
I think that's a better use of funds. I don't know about you. If we can minimise the impact of climate change by increasing our amounts of renewable energy, we can use that money for much more exciting things.
Are you saying that the effects of climate change are more stressful than living next to wind turbines?
We know that stress really does impact people's health. So if people are stressed about the wind farm because the communication hasn't been done well, that is really bad for people's health. If we can make sure that we roll out renewable energy projects in a way that doesn't bring people lots of stress, that is going to be better for the health of our communities.